Hi, my name is Anna, but you can call me Anci, and I'm the host of the Binge on Self-Love podcast. My guess is that you've tuned into today's episode because the title resonates with you. Feeling like you're behind in life, feeling like you seem to be failing behind everybody else, feeling like everybody else seems to be reaching their goals, getting married, having kids, getting promotion, starting successful businesses. Everyone, but not you. I feel like that a lot. For those who don't know, I've struggled with anorexia and later on with binge eating disorder for almost 10 years. And sometimes I feel like I've quote unquote wasted my 20s wallowing in problems, trying to solve the problems, while simultaneously trying to build at least some sort of positive relationship with myself. And all that often makes me feel like I am so behind everybody else. Mostly I feel like that when I scroll through social media and I come across people of my age doing things that I've always wanted to do but I never done, or achieving things that I haven't yet achieved. So whenever I feel like I'm lagging behind everyone else, I put more pressure on myself to catch up, to get where I was already supposed to be in my mind. But that pressure, that mindset that I'm always behind everybody else, never really got me anywhere. If anything, it made me feel more miserable. And my guess is that some of you can relate to those feelings as well. So let's have a chat about it today. Hi there, my name is Anna, but you can call me Anci, and I'm a host of the Binge on Self-Love podcast. If this is your first time listening, welcome and thank you so much for being here. And if you've tuned in before, it's great to have you back. Binge on Self-Love podcast started with me in my bedroom, recording and sharing my journey with binge eating disorder and with procrastination. But we are so much more than our eating disorder, and we are so much more than our problems. So this podcast is essentially about accepting yourself and everything that comes with it. Growth, pain, relationships, boundaries, habits, comparison, body image, confidence, you name it. Plus, you'll catch me having some insightful conversations with fantastic guests who open up and share their stories. So make sure to subscribe to the Binge on Self-Love on your favorite platform and join me every Tuesday for a brand new episode. Binge on Self-Love podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It doesn't provide professional medical advice, and it is not a substitute for diagnosis or treatment. When do you most often feel like you're behind in life? What triggers those feelings for you? Is it maybe when you see someone in your close circle achieve something that you've also been dreaming of? For example, when your friend gets married, or when your friend buys a house? Or is it when you see your friend share photos or videos of them vacationing in your dream destination? Or is it your colleague getting the promotion that you worked for and hoped for? Is it someone starting a business that you've also hoped to start one day? Or is it your friend, for example, writing a book, or your friend who finally mustered up the courage and started a YouTube channel which you have also been dreaming of for years? Or maybe it's not even really someone you know, but just someone you follow on social media. An actor, a singer, a celebrity, an influencer maybe, someone who you follow who seems to be living the life of your dreams. Sometimes the trigger of those feelings, I'm behind everyone else, can be even less intentional. Maybe it's your family member whom you haven't seen in a while asking you questions like, when are you getting married? When do you plan to finally have a baby? Or how is that project you told me about you were about to start a year ago going? Have you even started it yet? You probably see where I'm heading with this. I've personally noticed that I tend to question my life, my progress, and my decisions whenever I come across someone who I see as more successful, who I see as smarter, prettier, richer, someone who has achieved things that I also want and hope to achieve one day. And I start to question, how is it that this person is already where I want to be? I seem to be stuck here at the same place. I'm not closer to my goal whatsoever. I suck, etc. And it goes downhill from there. But to be fair, sometimes there doesn't necessarily have to be an outside trigger that causes us to feel like we're behind everyone else. Sometimes our mind can create that exact feeling for no apparent reason. Another cause that can contribute to those feelings is the prevalent stereotypical beliefs in our society, such as that we are supposed to finish school by a certain age or get a decent job at a certain age. We are supposed to start making a certain amount of money by a certain age. We're supposed to get married and start a family by a certain age. We are all supposed to buy and own a property at some point in life. We're all supposed to go on a vacation once or twice a year. We're supposed to do this and that. And then if we don't do that, we may start to feel bad because we're apparently behind in life. And even if we don't necessarily feel like we are, there will always be someone who will be happy to remind us. Why aren't you married yet? When are you going to move together? When are you finally going to settle down? When are you going to start taking things more seriously? When are you going to get that promotion? As you can hopefully see from all of the examples I've mentioned earlier, comparison really isn't a race we can win. There will always be someone who's doing better than you, but also someone who's doing worse than you. There will always be someone who has more than you, but also someone who has less than you. Like I've mentioned earlier, I often get that feeling like I'm behind everyone else in life when I spend too much time on social media. Sometimes, like in 1% of the cases, it can help me to kickstart my motivation for a little bit and get to work, but that usually lasts for a couple of hours max, so I usually feel more miserable than before. When you think about it, it makes sense. How can my little personal achievement of getting my ass up and going for a 3-kilometer run compete with someone on social media who shares they just finished a marathon? How can my little podcast compete with professional podcasters that are topping charts all over the world? How can we compete with anything that big that's on social media? I feel like it is such a paradox. If you would look at my life through the lenses of the social norms and expectations I've talked about earlier, I would probably tick a lot of the boxes. I got my master's degree when I was 25. I got a decent job while I was still at the university. I got married after being in a long-term relationship. But I still feel like I'm so behind everyone else. No matter how far in life I seem to get, I still feel like I should have already been somewhere else by now. And sadly enough, maybe someone right now would feel like they're behind in life if they would compare their life to mine. And I most certainly do feel like that compared to some other people out there. The question is, should we really measure how far we have come based on how far other people came? I think we have these options. Number one, we can compare our path, our journey, and our life to somebody else's. And we are sure to always find someone who's prettier, who's richer, who runs at a faster pace, who makes more money, who has more properties, and who has more possessions, who seem to have more opportunities than we have. Or number two, we can compare ourselves to no one but ourselves. I know this sounds so cheesy and it's such a cliche and I don't like saying that, but it is so freaking true. If you compare yourself to your past self, you will be able to see the progress you've made and be proud of that and feel better, or you will notice that you haven't made as much progress as you hoped, and that's the perfect opportunity for you to reflect, to catch up on what's been going on, what are some of the things that you need to change in order to get where you want to be. Either way, you win. Whereas in the first case, when you choose to compare your life to somebody else's life, you can only lose. Well, thanks, Anna. It's a great advice, but how the hell do I do that? I don't know, that's like even better answer, right? No, but I really think it depends on why you feel like you're behind in life. If it's because of comparing yourself and your life to people on social media, then the solution is pretty easy. It is to stop following people who make you feel like that. Remind yourself as often as you can that what's portrayed on social media is not a real life. It's not a real life. It's a story that we create and that we decide to share with other people, and it's a story that we want other people to see. If you feel like you're behind in life because of comments from other people, such as already mentioned things like, when are you going to have kids? When are you going to settle down? Then I think you just have to learn to ignore those comments. You can try to talk to those people and tell them, hey, this is not something I want you to tell me. Whenever I decide to do something with my life, I'll let you know, but please don't ask me. Or if they don't really hear that and they still make those comments, then I think the best solution is to ignore them. I know it sucks and you would much rather people not ask you those things, but sometimes all you can do is to just ignore those questions. I recently got married, and like 2 weeks later after the wedding, people have already been asking me like, when are we going to have kids? Like, seriously, people? I get why they're asking, but at the same time, I don't, and I really don't think it's anyone's business. So I either reply with something vague like, I let you know when we're having kids, or I don't know, or I just ignore them completely. Another common reason why we may feel like we're behind in life could be that you're not following the stereotypical journey people expect you to, like getting your degree, getting a 9-to-5 job, getting married, getting a house, having a baby, etc. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It sure works for so many people, and I think we live in a period of time where we can do so many amazing things that don't necessarily fit into those boxes. You can be perfectly happy working a 9-to-5 corporate job, while someone else can be perfectly happy working remotely from a different country every month. Or you can be happy with a big family, while someone else can be happy single and without children. Someone loves to share their life online and make a living off of that, while someone else chooses not to use social media at all. There is such a variety in this world, and just because something is common or expected, it doesn't mean it's the right way or the only way how to do things. Then there might be the feeling like you're behind in life because you haven't yet reached your goals and dreams. That's my case most often because of my procrastination habits and problems, and because of my non-existent self-confidence. I often postpone things because I don't believe in my ability to do something and in my capability of achieving something good. So I either procrastinate on a task or I give up before I even start. And then when I see someone who achieved what I hoped to achieve but I never did, I start to compare myself to them, and I start to feel frustrated with myself, and I start to feel like I'm so behind everyone else. That's why I think there's necessarily not a simple one-size-fits-all answer to how do we stop feeling like everybody else has everything figured out and they are going full speed ahead while we are stuck here at the same place for years. I believe the key here is to stop comparing every aspect of your life, of your journey, with someone else. Otherwise, you can never win. We won't feel happier, or we won't be healthier, we won't be more successful if we base our value and our success on someone else's journey. Everyone deserves to build their own happiness based on their personal progress. I will wrap up the episode here. I just want to end up this episode by saying that expectations and social media and even we ourselves can put that pressure on ourselves that if we don't achieve XYZ by a certain age, we're doomed. But we're not. We are all on different paths, we all have different starting points, and we all have faced different obstacles along the way. If you're not happy with the current direction of your life, it's never too late to change that direction. Even if you feel like you are too old for this, too responsible for this, or too afraid for this, you can always choose not to compare your life to someone else's and only compare your journey to your past journey. Hope it makes sense, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, make sure to subscribe to the Binge on Self-Love podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. I'll be back next week with another episode. Until then, take care and talk to you soon.